Hey everybody, this is SWTOR Kamatazi. I am currently on my Scoundrel, and I'm about to go over this Sawbone spec. I found this to be more difficult than the Sage Healer, as it is more difficult to find a heal-to-heal combination, which, as far as what I mean there, is one heal proccing another heal, causing there to be more of a rotation, making healing more easier. This is not meant to push you off from a Sawbone's healing at all. That is actually just a warning. I'm just saying it's a little bit more difficult to figure out. However, Sawbone's healing is actually very good once you know how to heal on there and you become a master at it. What Sawbone's healing is it's more like a Resto Druid in World of Warcraft. It is more heal over time. Most of your abilities will have a heal over time effect as well. So I'll be explaining more in detail for what I have for a rotation and why that is by describing some things to note via the discipline path. However, it is not everything that's listed through these, so I recommend going through and read every single one carefully. That way you understand the healing role far better for an operative and what the different changes to each of the different abilities that the discipline has for you. I also recommend that you go and read through all of the different utility points. That way you can find what better suits your playstyle for the healing than what I personally have set up. Of course, I'll be going over the different heals and quote-quote rotation that I have for you guys, and then at the end of the video I'll be going over my usual player tips for everybody. So to get started here, I will first go over my utility points. Under Skillful, I have Smuggled Getup, which reduces all area of effect damage taken by 30%. I also have Scar Tissue, which increases damage reduction by 5%. Under Masterful, I have Med Screen, where your defense screen will heal you for 5% of your maximum health when it collapses. I also have Keep Cool, where Cool Head will immediately restore 15 additional energy. That is designed to help with your energy control, which is very important as a healer, especially for operatives, where your cool head ability is really the only thing that restores your energy. As a secondary thing that you can substitute with, you are able to use Supplemented Med Pack, which, while your slow release med pack is active on yourself, your damage reduction is increased by 3% per stack for a total of 6%. For Heroic, I have Dirty Trickster, where Surrender purges all movement impairing effects when activated, and in addition to that, when Tranquilizer wears off, the target is struck by sedatives, reducing all damage dealt by 50% for the next 10 seconds. I also have Get the Bulge, where Tenon Blast will now grant an upper hand. You can also use Smuggled Defenses as a replacement for that, which reduces the cooldown of Escape by 30 seconds, Defense Screen by 5 seconds, and Smuggle by 1 minute. I also use Back at Ya, which activating Dodge will return 150% of direct single target tech and force damage taken back to the attacker while dodge is active. I also have Hotwire Defenses, which increases the amount of damage absorbed by the defense screen by 30%, and you can always use Surprise Comeback. Pregnancy now additionally grants Surprise Comeback, restoring 5% total health every 3 seconds, and reducing damage received by 20% for the duration. For things to note, if you can start off by being in stealth, and then when you come out of stealth, you will automatically gain 2 stacks of upper hand. Colto Cloud will cause your target to be invigorated for 45 seconds, which increases the healing they receive by 3%. Emergency Med Pack will grant an upper hand once every 10 seconds. Healing the target with Emergency Med Pack will refresh the slow release Med Pack as long as there's 2 stacks on there already. Koto Pack will make the target resistant for 45 seconds, which increases the target's resistance to elemental and internal damage by 3%. And Pregnancy will make your Koto Pack or Underworld Medicine an instant cast. So, to start you guys off, I am in stealth currently, as you obviously know, and it's easier to start off at this point, so that way when you use either the slow release med pack, or if you start off with Colto Cloud, which I recommend one or the other, you will have 2 stacks of tactical advantage right off the bat. You could either, so to start off with, you could either start with having slow release med pack, in which you use that twice, or starting off with 2 of the slow release med pack, followed by Colto Cloud and then Colto Pack. Or you could start off with, like I would, where Colto Cloud, followed by Colto Pack, and then 2 of the slow release med packs. I will also be going after that, will be using Underworld Medicine, followed by Emergency Med Pack. Prior to Underworld Medicine, odds are your Emergency Med Pack will already be procced, where it will be glowing. And then, even if it's not, it will after Underworld Medicine. I can almost guarantee you that much. After that, I would be using Diagnostic Scan, followed by Colto Waves. However, you could also use Colto Waves prior to Diagnostic Scan. It's just your personal preference. So to show you, I'm in stealth, so I'll be starting off with Colto Cloud, which, like I said, you'll have 2 upper hand, followed by Colto Pack, that provided me with both resistance as well as invigorated. I'd be following through with Underworld Medicine, followed by the procced Emergency Med Pack, Diagnostic Scan, followed by Colto Waves. A little more quickly, Stealth to Colto Cloud, followed by Colto Pack, followed by couple slow release med packs, followed by Underworld Medicine, procced Emergency Med Pack, Diagnostic Scan, and then Colto Waves. The first time through, I only did 1 of the slow release, but you would want to do 2. This way, it was already up. this is a very basic rotation, but it's not quite really a rotation because I honestly do not know how effective that will be in a more difficult situation when you're going through and healing. Biggest thing about playing a healer is you have to have energy control, and you have to know when to use, especially for hot healing, you have to know what to use in each situation to keep your team up at all times. Especially your tank, as if once the tank dies and there's a large group of adds, odds are your group's gang will be wiped out. So you have to be able to assess the situation and be able to use your abilities accordingly. The main two abilities that will keep your healing, but it's more direct, will be Diagnostic Scan and as well as Culture Waves. Those are both going to be quick or at least instant cast, be able to place down and keep group members up, versus your direct heal, Underworld Medicine. That's almost a 2-second cast, and for all you know, that 2 seconds is not going to save your group member, especially if they're taking heavy damage. So being able to know what to do quick, patch up, and then if it gives enough time, you get your heal over time abilities onto that target in order to keep, that way they are still receiving heals to keep them up long enough for that 2-second activation for a large heal to get them up to where they need to be. It can be rather difficult, but once you have your timing down and you have mastered the hot healing, like a Resto Druid in World of Warcraft, or even, well, I can't quite say Shaman, but some games for a Shaman, like Aspect, can be hot healers as well. It's just all situational and knowing your timing and when to use what. Once you have everything down, it'll become a lot smoother, and you'll become a very good healer for operative to just about any healer in this game. So for some player tips, I'm going to be in Legacy, which is gained by clicking on Y, and then under Character Perks. Under Advancement, I recommend, if you're leveling up, I recommend grabbing what you're going to be going into the most, such as War Zones for PvPers, Flashpoints for PvEers, and then for the Questers, both Exploration as well as Class Missions. These two go hand in hand extremely well. Under Travel, I recommend getting Personal Starship. This way, you can go directly to your personal starship and pretty much anywhere, from anywhere. This is especially useful if you're in the middle of nowhere and you just finished the heroic missions on planet side, and your storyline is telling you to go to your personal starship in order to continue on with the quest. This way you do not have to go to the nearest flight path and take the speeder over to the spaceport. You can just click on personal starship icon for the priority transport and be ported directly inside your starship. I also recommend getting the side planets such as CZ-198. That way you're able to, if you don't know where they are on the galactic map, you can just get the priority transport and it goes directly to the planet where you can do that class, or heroic mission and not the, and then even the flashpoints, should there be one on that planet, if you like to go directly to the flashpoint. Under convenience, I'd recommend that you get the field repair droid first if you're low level and you're leveling up. This way you are able to repair and sell anywhere that you're at, and the repair droid comes in handy in operations, especially after a very difficult boss where your raid group will be able to repair their gear. I also recommend that you spend 200,000 credits to get the field respec. That way you do not have to go to the fleet to respec every time. You're able to respec just about anywhere at any given time. So that way you can go from the DPS role to healer in case after a healer decides to drop group in the middle of a flashpoint. Your group will be able to continue on. Same thing if you're tanking and you have the tank gear in your inventory. If the tank decides to drop group, you can go from the DPS role to tank role, equip your tank gear, and keep the group moving. Or switch between DPS specs if you're testing out which one you like more. After you get those two, I recommend getting the rest of the convenience, as they are all very useful. A special note about the field respect to the PvPers. I hate to tell you this, but once the Warzone has started, you will not be able to change out your spec. You are stuck in that role until the Warzone is over. Then, while you're waiting for the next queue, you will be able to switch out the spec at that point. Under Companion, I highly recommend that you get Legacy of Altruism to get maximum influence gain from Companion gifts. For those rating on this, it's not going to be a total of 30% increase. It's actually going to be a 10% increase from the default for the first one. Then it's going to be another 10% increase from the first gain, and then another 10% from the second gain. That's how that's going to work. To go hand in hand with that, I also recommend that you get the Legacy of Promptness maxed out, which reduces the time taken to give gifts to your companions, which again shows 20% on each level, which again is going to be 20% reduced time for the default, and then additional 20% from the first reduction, and then another 20% off the second reduction. That's going to be going from 3 seconds to give a gift to your companion down to roughly 1.6 seconds to give the gift to your companion, which is actually a lot of time reduced when you're going through a lot of gifts to your companions, as that will save you a lot of time. Under the global unlocks and then other, I do recommend that you have at least one character max out, even temporarily, but max out the light slide legacy alignment for the Unity ability. The Unity ability requires you to have your companion out with you in order to use it. But what the Unity ability does is it will provide both you and your companion a 50% damage reduction to all damage for 15 seconds. Which is actually huge, and it is a lifesaver in most situations. I lost count how many times that ability has saved me. For ship unlocks, you do not have to have any of it the most important things that the ship unlock provides is indeed on the fleet, including training dummies. However, as I am on my starship, and I do have both Warzone and Training Dummy here on my screen, I will tell you, if you do prefer to be in private for Training Dummy to test out your spec or your rotation for damage output, etc., rather than being on the fleet where it's in public, feel free to unlock the Training Dummies for Operation and Warzone. Nothing wrong with that, and I personally like it. I love it. In fact, I come in here all the time for when I'm bored and just wanting to play around. Under convenience, I personally recommend that you max out Legacy Fleet Pass, max out Legacy Travel, and max out Priority Transport Personal Starship if you're going to use that personal transport. All three of them will cause your personal starship ability, your quick travel, and your fleet pass. All three of them will have 0 cooldown, allowing you to port around all day and look like a champ when you're leveling up extremely quickly in comparison to those friends or guild members that you are grouped up with that still have a cooldown on their abilities. I also recommend that you get tactical markers in case you become a operation leader or when you're in charge of the flashpoints. This allows you to mark out where you want all the roles prior to the boss fight. That way, hopefully, the boss fight will be a lot smoother in comparison to complete and utter chaos. I also recommend, for the final one, that you get improved mounting. This way you are able to mount while you are still moving. I find it addicting and rather fun. That way you're not spending the 2 extra seconds to stop, mount up, and then start moving again. You're just mounting while moving and saving a couple seconds. That's all I have for you guys, and I wish you guys the best of luck as a Sawbone Scoundrel.